Hi Aquarius, I hope you guys are doing great today. Welcome to your general messages for the beginning of October. I did do a separate full video on the astrology, covering only the astrology for the month of October, just because there's so much. And guys, honestly, October is really defining how 2022 is going to roll out ultimately. It's very heavy energies. It's not only the new moon in Libra is happening in your 9th house, it's happening on the 6th, but there's a lot of stuff going on in that 9th house. It's not only the new moon, the sun's going to be in there, Mars is going to be in there, Mercury retrograde, and the thing is the moon is going to be combusting the sun. It's only going to be 1 degree away. So what happens when an energy is combust, the sun, if it's very close to the sun sort of dampens that energy, and the moon being our emotions, this is actually, I'm thinking, a good thing, because a lot of times our emotions get in our way, right? Can make us feel very confused and very disappointed and feel a crisis of faith and feel very emotionally vulnerable when it comes to a lot of things. But I feel like the sun is going to be dampening that, so I do like that. Mars is going to be Kazemi. Now, for those of you, it's going to be happening at the end of the week, but I really feel like we're going to be feeling it the whole week. And what is Mars Kazemi? It's Mars is like sitting right on top of the sun. So all of that fire together. Remember, Mars is I am. Mars is a planet of assertion and drive. It's what drives you. You know, are you pursuing your desires aggressively enough? Because if you're just sitting back and just kind of, you know, hanging out and waiting for things to unfold, you're suddenly going to feel this unbelievable like drive to do, right? It really does speak to what motivates you and what drives you most powerfully, and you're not going to be able to avoid that right now. It's going to be very, very strong for you in that 9th house especially. And what is the 9th house? The 9th house has to do with, I'm going to list everything the 9th house covers. The 9th house rules higher education, travel, foreign lands, foreign cultures. It's wisdom, it's philosophy, it's law, it's religion, it's cross-cultural relations as well. It's learning, right? Especially learning like higher education or advancing something in your life. It has to do with ethics. It has to do with launching a project, publishing, advertising, marketing, your in-laws. So pick one, right? There's a plethora of energy to choose from. So what are you going to be feeling in this energy? First of all, you're going to be feeling very emotional. You're going to be feeling a very strong desire to be heard, right? Because that Mars Kazemi is very like, listen to me. This is what I believe. But in a way where you're probably right, you know, but it's about your delivery. We all have to be very careful with our delivery because Mercury is retrograde. So we want to make sure that we're more responsive instead of reactive, and we want to wash everything through our filter before we kind of just come out, right? Now, this Moon and Mars energy, are both of them separately, you're going to be quincunxing this Uranus retrograde in Taurus, which is happening in your 4th house of home. So there might be something very surprising happening either with your home. Maybe you're moving, something surprising with your mother, or it could just simply be because home, what is 4th house? It has to do with home, roots, family. It also has to do with self-care. It has to do with your emotional foundation, right? And what you need to feel grounded, rooted, and safe and secure. So don't be surprised if you suddenly are realizing what it is that you want as far as your belief system goes. What is it that you want to feel secure regarding maybe what you're studying, the area you're studying? It could be regarding that long distance trip or moving abroad or that long distance relationship you're having. A lot of epiphanies are going to be coming out in a way that's not comfortable initially. Believe me, it's going to end up boding way in your favor, but initially something needs addressing. Conversation needs to be had, a decision needs to be made, something needs to go on between that 9th and that 4th house energy. Now, about 7 hours after this new moon energy in Libra, we have Pluto is finally going to be stationing direct. So remember, Pluto is a planet of transformation. Nothing stays the same around that planet, and his whole task in our chart is to clear out the old to make way for the new. Sometimes it's done very volcanically by forcing things that are submerged to the surface to be dispelled. Sometimes it happens a little more, you know, micro, like a lot less drama. But wherever Pluto sits in your chart, you'd have to know that you're going to experience regeneration in that particular area. And now for you guys, Aquarius, you're experiencing this energy in your 12th house. So the 12th house is the subconscious. It's the house of the hidden. It's where you are the most spiritual. It's where you keep yourself small. It's where you keep yourself hidden. It has to do with the deepest place in your emotional space. really, and it has to do with where the veil is the thinnest between worlds. But I do want to say that the 12th house, we also call it the house of self-sabotage. That's where the most addictions hang out, where we can get in our own way, because we so badly want things to be a certain way, and if they're not, we can easily end up sacrificing ourselves or sabotaging ourselves to make a situation happen. So if you feel like you've been keeping yourself small, if you feel like that you've been holding your tongue, if you feel like you've been holding yourself back, and you'll know, if you know, and many Aquarians that I'm working with, they know exactly what I'm talking about. It could be in different areas of your life, because the 12th house kind of covers all areas of life. You have to know that Pluto going direct, that's going to be released. The transformation is going to happen. It's just going to be very emotional in your mind. Don't be surprised if this week you have a really hard time sleeping. You just feel sort of very restless in your own mind, right? That's very likely to happen, because whenever a planet stations direct, that energy is very heightened before it makes that change, right? It's just part of the process. No big deal. It's going to pass, okay? Now, 4 days later, we're going to have Saturn is finally going to be going direct. Now, that Saturn is in your house. Saturn is in your first house of self. So again, Saturn is about responsibility, boundaries, structure. But Saturn is good in that it does provide a very positive framework within which you can build, or structures like that end up limiting, looking at structures rather that limit your development, right? Into a point where you have to go in and reassess maybe what is ending up being like a liability to your growth, to your sense of growth, right? So Saturn presents all these things. But when Saturn is retrograde, he's very focused on us sort of going through this slow squeeze. There's a lot of Aquarians in that first house of self. You might feel like you're going through a slow squeeze. Aquarians generally are very, very busy right now, just as a collective. But you feel the slow squeeze in a particular area of your life, and that's going to be lightening up, right? Because that first house of self does cover, you know, not only your identity, your approach to life, your attitude in life. So you're going to feel a lot lighter once these big planets start to go direct, which is, I think, very good, right? All right, so let's get to the tarot. And I'm going to do a relationship read after this for those of you. So I'm just going to apply this to all areas of life. So we have the Five of Swords in the recent past coming into this energy. So Venus and Aquarius, there may have been this clash between the way you wanted something to go and the reality of it. And that tension and that ongoing conflict was something that you weren't going to win, because it had to do with someone else or an establishment that you couldn't possibly mitigate. Right? You can only change yourself. You can only mitigate your stuff. You can't mitigate somebody else's stuff. That's like, you can't fix the unfixable. Only other people can do that, right? So this is what I'm feeling like, that there was some sort of clashing. And so it's with the anger, the disappointment, whatever sadness you were feeling there, walk away with grace and dignity, because at least for the time, right? It's a minor arcana. It doesn't mean it's going to last, but I feel like something happened here. Yeah, and you almost felt like, because it's a Saturn and Leo energy, so it's like something that matters a lot to you, something that you really enjoy. Somebody was not squaring with you. So it could have had to do with romance, something to do with children, or something to do with just a hobby that you feel very passionate about. And those are just some examples. Where are you at right now? You're in the Three of Wands. Very nice. I like this for you. Three of Wands is the Sun in Aries energy. This is one of the good fortune cards. So this does indicate a thriving business. This indicates a very busy, intense period. For those of you involved in relationship, guys, this can indicate a wedding, or it can give a thumbs up to you being in a very important relationship that's going to make a very big difference in your life, whether it's intimate or whether it's a friendship or a work situation. There's some sort of very important relationship that is happening in your life right now. This could also indicate you moving on to realize your plans. So something that you've had set in your mind's eye as far as your intention, you moving on to be able to realize them. But you might be dealing with very unconventional people, or in a situation that for you is very unconventional. But it's very positive. Like this is, I always say with this, bask in the uniqueness, right, of it, which you guys are so good at because you're an Aquarius. But this is really about also turning your back on the past. This is not turning your back on your family and friends and all of that, but turning your back on some part of the way something was rolling out, and you identifying that you're not happy with maybe that friend group, or maybe that relationship, or maybe that family member, whatever it is, saying to yourself, you know what, that is the way that is not good for me right now. So let me turn my back and let me focus on things that are more positive going forward. And that's very much where you're at. Where are you feeling challenged, though, is being able to make that happen. All right, this is where you're being challenged. Now, I'm going to interpret this several different ways that I'm feeling it. Some of you may be having a hard time taking the bull by the horns and pushing forward on something. Or it's like, you know you want to do different, but you're not quite sure. Maybe you feel held back because we are still in retrograde season. Maybe you don't have the money, or maybe you don't have the time, you don't have the ability. But you see something in your mind's eye, you're just not able to bring it to fruition yet. Some of you can be feeling that. Others of you... Others of you might be dealing with an energy that's quite narcissistic, or at least they have narcissistic tendencies, where they're very into like power struggles, very domineering. They'll say whatever they have to do to get their own way, egotism, you know, they cross boundaries, they can be disrespectful. So for a lot of you, if you're dealing with that energy, that may be the very thing that you're turning your back on, right? Anyone that would represent that energy in any situation. So we have the basis of the situation and the current current circumstance going on. We have the Two of Cups and the King of Cups. So I like these two together. This is very nice. As the Two of Cups always, first and foremost, shows up for me as a very, I would say, successful, meaningful, positive, supportive conversation. This is also indicative of a mutually supportive relationship. This could also mean maybe you're meeting somebody new. This is a very positive proposal coming in. If things have been very difficult, harmony returning. This is an energy that offers support to nurture relationships and move them forward and work stuff out. And I like this as the basis when it does seem like some sort of conflict needs to be worked through, either within yourself or with somebody else. So that is the King of Cups energy, right? And even if you're a little, like, you might be in this space, Aquarius, where you feel like, oh no, but I thought I handled it the right way. Maybe you might have approached the situation from too much air, right? Because you guys are air. It's like too much sensibility, too many facts. There's got to be this recognition of emotions involved in whatever it is that you're trying to settle up. So try to tap into the water in your chart, right? Where's your Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces? Try to tap into that. Okay, so what is Spirit and what is the recommended approach here? Hello, Tower. What? Necessary surrender, because whatever's been going on here is not meant for your higher good. Something has to be ended here and switched around. Now, in numerology, this is the Chariot, and the Chariot is all about really extricating yourself from something that is not working because it's toxic and it's quick. So, and it's you moving away from the negative towards the positive. So this is, again, Mars's, I'm pulling this down, right? Towers of Mars energy, I'm pulling it down. The truth of something comes out, the lights come on, something. But something needs to change. There's got to be a change in the circumstances. And I'm not saying this is going to be an easy decision. It's not. This is actually probably going to be a pretty tough decision. But it's an abrupt change of circumstances. This could also indicate, for those of you who are in this space of moving, and not to be like Scary Mary on you or anything, but it could end up where a property that you hope to move into ends up not materializing because of something, some sort of situation. I just want to say that because that just hit me. King of Swords is an energy external to you. So you're dealing with somebody who is very in their mental space, who is very focused on their mind instead of their heart to take charge of the circumstances. So you might be dealing with somebody who's very cold, who's very matter of fact, who's very sort of self-serving in some sort of situation. I don't like it. That's external to you. So I feel like there you are trying to work something out, but you're dealing with somebody who's a little bit of like Emperor reverse and King of Swords. A little difficult. And we have the Justice energy as your internal psychological block. So, you know, this is Libra energy, 7th house. You have Leo in there right now. Leo's an energy of creativity. You know, being very focused on what you want to do. But when the Justice shows up as a block, that tells me that something feels very out of balance in a single area or even several areas of your life, depending on your situation. And you feel like some sort of decision or the way that something's handled is not going in your favor. And you might even feel like somebody's being dishonest or unfair with you, where your voice is not being heard. And let me tell you, Mars Kazemi is not going to have it. You're going to, especially in your 9th house of belief system, Aquarius is going to take everything down to your toes. You're going to have to hold your tongue, because if you end up being very reactive instead of responsive in this energy and something blows up, it's going to be very hard to fix it in this energy. Again, I'm not saying that to be scary. To be forewarned is to be forearmed. But I could feel the unfairness in something coming out of these cards, like I can't even tell you. Yeah, look, check it out. In the near future, 4 of Cups. 4 of Cups is like, all right, you know what? I'm feeling very restless. I'm feeling very apathetic and very disillusioned about the situation. I don't think it's ever going to work out. I don't think we're ever going to meet eye to eye. I don't think I'm ever going to meet the right one. I don't think I'm ever going to be in a situation where things feel all in alignment, But this can also indicate that you need to heal something from your past. Like, step back and say, well, why does this matter so much to me in such a profound way anyway? Where is that hurt coming from? Like, if somebody's being a narcissistic or having narcissistic tendencies, very egocentric, why is it bothering you so much? Is it making you feel small and unheard? Why does that bother you so much? Why is it like so hard for you to let something roll off your back? And this is an opportunity for self-growth, like really looking deeper. You could say I don't care, but I'm seeing in the cards that you do care. And why is that, right? Why is that? Were you, made to feel less than in a past situation, in a past relationship, maybe when you were a child, something like that, or you feel very disrespected, and what does that bring up in you, right? So these are just some kind of bigger existential questions to ask yourself this particular month, because you are going to be challenged in your beliefs. This is going to be a thing. Or you're at least going to feel that way. You're going to at least feel that way. Now, the final outcome energy here we have is the 6 of Swords. And I like this because this is Mercury in Aquarius. This is like, all right, Mercury mental. I'm thinking about moving away from this. I'm thinking about my future. And I'm thinking this is not good for me, right? And for a lot of you, this can manifest mentally more than physically initially, but you're detaching from a situation. So you might be detaching from the unhealthy nonsense going on in that relationship, that friendship, that family situation, that work situation, and just taking a mental break from it, allowing some space for you to do some internal work so that you could really figure out what it is that you even want moving forward. But I feel like you're definitely dealing with some challenging energies here this first week of October. It's not going to last, believe me. Like, as the energies start to go direct, everything's going to start rolling out in different directions. So just, if you're feeling that way, understand that the cards are just serving that as validation for you. All right. So let's move on to relationship. I'm just going to be pulling past, present, future, final outcome with clarifiers and some oracles. I should be doing a more in-depth relationship read by next week for all the different, singles, coupled, complicated, like I do those longer readings. I just can't do that with every general reading. I can't do that. I'm sorry. I don't have enough time. Maybe when the day comes where I only do this full time, I could. I don't know if I ever do that. Stop being a professor someday. I don't know. Okay. Reveal your gifts. Okay. I do want to say, Aquarius, though, the fact that you have the North Node in Gemini in your 5th house and Leo in the 7th, and there's no real solid negative aspects, your energy is quite open for to either have relationships go quite well or you meeting somebody. So I feel like the nonsense for you guys is a lot more, it seems to me to be a lot more focused in like either your education, the idea of negotiating something to do with family, something to do with friend groups, something like that. It does seem like, all right. Oh, we got sexuality. Who else got sexuality? I think Pisces got sexuality. Okay. So we have, in the recent past, we have the Ten of Coins and the Ace of Wands. Wow, this is fire. Very nice. All right, first of all, the Ten of Pentacles can be a will you marry me card. This is about family, maturity, deepening of commitment, focusing on shared values, share, right? Lots of share. And that's being clarified by the Ace of Wands, which is beautiful. This is just very auspicious, really, for new beginnings in general. But this is great if you're looking to start a family, get married, start a new chapter in your current relationship that includes a lot more passion, a lot more creativity, a lot more motivation to really level the relationship up. And then, of course, it can indicate a new relationship in the recent past. So then we have the Chariot, and it's clarified by the Queen of Coins. Now, the funny thing with the Chariot, it's about moving away from negative towards positive, right? But we always have to look at the energy that's surrounding it, right? What comes after it, what comes before it. So before it, we have the Ace of Wands, and after it, we have the Queen of Coins. So these are two very healthy energies. So you're moving away from something that didn't work in your life towards something that has a lot more positive promise. Beautiful Queen of Coins energy. I'm loving this. This is a marriage card. This could indicate money coming to those of you who are coupled. This could indicate a sensual sex life, and we did get the sexuality card here. This could also indicate fertility, so just be a little careful there when we get fertility and this. High chance of certainly of pregnancy, and the fact that the North Node is in Gemini, which leaves a gift before it ends. It's going to be leaving the middle of January. That fifth house represents children. Uranus in Taurus in the fourth house, which indicates mothering. Shocking surprises happening in that area. So some of you might be like, hey, guess what? I'm pregnant, or we're pregnant, or whatever. For some of you in relationship, not everybody's in that ageist stage, right? But it could also indicate you know, you just being in a healthier relationship, just like in a good space within relationship. Now let's look at the near future. So near future, we have the Nine of Swords that is being clarified by the Devil. Wow. Okay. So the Nine of Swords is a Mars and Gemini energy, and it's about anxiety, overwhelm, trouble sleeping. There could be one of you or your partner or somebody here is dealing with some sort of depression, not responding well to the external stress because, you know, your way through something is not very clear to you, or they're not able to see clearly through something. And it could have something to do with some sort of shackled kind of imbalance within the relationship. So for some of you, this can be realization that there's one of you or both of you is dealing with an addiction to either substances. It could be to sex, because we did get the sexuality energy where somebody is not being very faithful, or there's this imbalance having to do with sexuality within the relationship. Maybe one of you don't want to be active, right? You don't want to be sexually active and the other one does, or there is cheating or something within that realm for some of you. But remember that the Devil in numerology is also the Lover's energy, right, which is Gemini. And it's about acknowledging that there is imbalance. And that's okay, because all relationship has imbalance. But the key point is, are you going to be able to work together to fix that? And I feel like you're going to end up being in a space where you're just not sure if the relationship has what it needs in order to fix it. Deal with the imbalance, you know, to really... in a solid way, deal with the imbalance. Yeah. But I feel like you guys are going to be working it out, honestly, because the Six of Wands is a great conversation here. It's Jupiter and Leo. All right. This is sharing feelings. Whatever's being communicated is well received. There's a deepening of connection. This is a really nice energy for love. It really is. Very nice energy. And that's being clarified by the Eight of Swords in the reverse. And the Eight of Swords in the reverse is way better than in the upright. This is about release, a new hope. This is an energy of freedom, feeling liberated, escaping. So this could indicate you might be dealing with somebody who's going through maybe rehab, or maybe who's really working on getting in front of some sort of situation that's throwing them off balance. But I see this energy of nurturing, of just really helping, either you helping them or them helping you, which is very interesting. I feel like I need to pull more cards on that. Let's look at we have reveal your gifts, receiving, sexuality, and engage higher reason. Okay, Aquarius, I can't help but feel like there's a big issue that you and somebody are actually going through that has to do with this devil energy, the shackling, this imbalance. I mean, I'm feeling it very strongly here, so let me just pull. We have the Seven of Wands, which is an energy of defensiveness. Morality and your morality and your personal philosophy are very, very important to you right now. But of course, I mean, that's where you have the new moon. That's where Mars is Kazemi. That's where the moon is combust. That's where Mercury is retrograde. You're going to be feeling that in the biggest way, right? Absolutely. But it's like drawing a line in the sand. I will tolerate this, but I can't tolerate that kind of thing, you know? Two of Swords, you're going to be in an emotional stalemate with yourself. You want to protect yourself, but this situation's not going away. And it's like, it's almost like there's so much good here, but this bad is so bad that you're just not sure if you can actually stay in it. But the Two of Swords does indicate that you're better off saying what you need to say, stand your ground, because the decision is needed about your future. And when you do that, the star is clarifying, which is about hope and guidance and balancing things out, right? Because in numerology, this is the strength energy. This does indicate you're destined to be with somebody, right? I mean, this is about a change for the better after a difficult time. So it does look like for this beginning of October, beautiful element of a relationship. Somebody's going through something. There needs to be a lot of empathy and understanding. And when we're going back to the sexuality card, it doesn't only have to mean the idea of sex, the act of sex, or how you identify, you know, as far as your sexuality goes. It also has to do with vulnerability and how open and available you make yourself, or you allow yourself to be in the area of intimacy when it comes to sharing with another person. So these are I can't speak. I'm Mercury retrograde over here. I'm ruled by Mercury, I'm a Gemini sun. Those are the messages that I have for you guys this week. Thank you so much for hanging with me. Have a beautiful week, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.